Early in the morning, it was still dark. They heard a thunk, but they didn't bother to stop. They drove up to Hartford, and when they opened the door, Oscar fell to the ground. He was stuck between the mirror and the door. It was dark, and they didn't know. And what happened is Oscar broke his shoulder when he hit that truck. And because he broke his wing in a joint, the joint, when it heals, sort of cements, sort of fuses, and he can't fully spread that wing. So he really can't fly. He likes to think he can. Sometimes that memory of flying is there. His perches are close together, but sometimes he'll still try to take that big leap across the cage. He doesn't quite make it. Like Dakota, he's an excellent foster parent. He does not feed the young, but he nurtures them and he keeps them warm and shows them the way of a great horned owl. And by the end of the summer, when owls in the wild would be chasing off their young, Oscar does the same thing by starting to peck those young on the head and pushing them off the perch. And we know it's time that those young owls go. And that is what a great horned owl sounds like. If you go out on an owl prowl now, this is the time of year, you're really going to hear a lot of great horns. They nest very early in the year. They're called the tiger of the woods, the hoot owl, and they'll take any nest they want. They're big enough, and they nest early enough in the year, that they'll take maybe a big old crow's nest or a red-tail's nest. They've also been known to chase eagles out of their nest. If it's a young, inexperienced pair of eagles, they can do that. It's very strong, very tenacious, and once there's an eagle in your nest, you're pretty much apt to just go build another one because you don't want a mess. Oscar's only about 3 pounds, but has the strength to carry something that is twice his weight. As I said, they are called the tiger of the woods. As an adult, they really don't have any natural predators. Called the great horn for those tufts of feathers. They are not horns, they are actually the feathers. And that helps him to be camouflaged when he's hunting or hiding from something. As an adult, the only other predator is perhaps another great horned owl. As a young bird, crows rob their nests, raccoons, fishers. You have to watch for that. These guys have been known to attack people coming into their nesting territories. If Oscar wanted to, he could slice through these gloves like a knife through soft butter. He's a gentleman. So we're all pretty lucky. Now, owls have 3 special features that I talked about. One, their magnificent eyes. Our eyes were as large as an owl's eyes. They'd be like melons in your face. They take up 2/3 of your face. They have to be big to let in all that light because they're mostly a nocturnal or a nighttime bird, so they have to be big so they can see better than you and I do at night. For this reason, their eyes are set in their head, okay? Like headlights are set in the car. And they can't move their eyes like you and I. We can look up and down and side to side. An owl has to turn its head to have a full range of vision. How many of you think an owl can turn their head all the way around? Well, you can't. Isaiah and Jeannie will show you. They can turn it about 3/4 of the way around, 270 degrees. There you go. About 270 degrees or 3/4 of the way around. And they do that because they have a very flexible, bendable neck. Their neck is flexible because they have twice as many vertebrae as you and I have. Feel those bumps on the back of your neck? Those are your vertebrae or your neck bones. We have 7. Mammals have 7. Your dog has 7. A cat has 7. How many does a giraffe have? 7, right. Birds have 14, and that's why they can turn their head the way that they do. It almost demonstrates they're very good, Oscar. They also have excellent, excellent hearing. Owls hunt by their sense of hearing. They don't have a sense of smell like you and I do, or like a turkey vulture does. So they listen for their prey. This owl could sit 20 feet up in a pine tree and listen and hear a mouse 2 feet under the snow running. That's how good their ears are. Some owls, like your barn owl, can catch something in 100% darkness because they have asymmetrical hearing. One ear sits up here, one ear sits down here. The ear that sits up higher is actually larger than the ear that sits lower. So that's 2 features, their eyes and the ability to turn their head, their special hearing. And owls aren't a very fast flyer. They don't need to be fast because they are silent hunters. So they listen for that mouse under the snow, and then they swoop down on silent wings. Why do you think an owl flies quietly?
So its prey can't hear it?
So its prey can't hear. The edge of their feathers are fringed like a comb, so the air passes through soundlessly. Judy will demonstrate.
This is a peregrine falcon feather. Remember when Ellen said if you got hit in the face with it, it would hurt? They're very stiff. And this is Oscar's feather.
Very different, so he can sneak up on his prey. So the 3 special features are their magnificent eyes and the way they can turn their head, which, by the way, the only other creature on the planet who can turn its head 3/4 of the way around is your mother. And they hunt with their sense of hearing, and they have silent flight. Very specialized hunters. This owl, one of the things he likes to hunt, does anybody guess what he wants to eat? What do you think he likes to eat?
Mice?
He'll eat mice, he'll eat fish, he'll eat squirrels, he'll eat rabbits. But there's one other animal that's nocturnal that this bird really likes to hunt.
A frog.
He'll eat frogs. I'll give you a hint. It's nocturnal, it comes out at night. It's black and white, and it smells.
Skunk.
A skunk. You're right. These guys smell like skunk. People will say, we picked up an owl on the road, we think he was hit. And I'll say, what kind of owl do you have? We don't know, but we put it in a box, and we're coming to your house with it. And we'll get into that car, and we'll pull out that box, and we'll go. And people think we're psychic because it smells like a skunk, and we can say without opening the box, you have a great horned owl. I've yet to get in a great horned owl, an adult, that does not smell like a skunk. And you can smell them from 20 feet away. That's how many skunks they eat. Oscar weighs about 3 pounds. A female great horn can weigh up to 5 pounds with a wingspan of almost 5 feet. He can lift a skunk that weighs 6 or 8 pounds, and he can fly, not great distances, but he can actually pick up that 6 or 7 pound skunk and get it back up into his nest. That's how strong he is. Owls have feet, unlike the hawks, that are feathered all the way down to their talons. A lot of owls don't migrate. They stay around in the winter, so this helps to keep their feet warm. They also perch a bit differently. If you'll notice, Oscar has 2 toes in front and 2 in back. The hawk and the falcon have 3 in front and 1 in back. Oscar's toes can move. He can perch with 3 in front and 1 in back, or 2 in front and 2 in back. So Oscar has very special feet, owls do. Have any of you ever seen an owl pellet? Or know what an owl pellet is? An owl pellet is what an owl coughs up after they eat. They can't digest bone, feather, fur of what they've eaten. So they cough it back up. Our raven coughs up pellets, or hawk coughs up pellets, because they can't digest it either. But what makes an owl's pellet so unique is they have a very big throat. You can see where Oscar's panting to cool himself off. That's where his voice forms. He doesn't have a voice box like you and I. He's just got a very, very big throat. And his tongue has a point that faces backwards. Oscar can swallow a rat that's probably about 6 inches long, whole. He'll swallow it head first. We've seen a 1 pound owl swallow a whole chipmunk. So when they swallow that animal whole and they form their pellet, quite often you can break open an owl's pellet and find a whole skeleton in it and piece it back together, and you'll know what that bird just ate. Does anybody have questions about Oscar before I bring out the guest star?
Why does he look like a lemur?
Why does he what?
Look like a lemur.
Why does he look like a lemur? He does have big eyes. Lemurs are nocturnal, aren't they? Some of them are. They have big eyes so they can see at night. How much does he weigh?
What shoulder?
What shoulder? He broke his right shoulder. And, yeah.
Why does he hoot so loud?
Why does he hoot so loud? Because he can. He's a big bird. He makes a lot of noise. They have to hoot loud so other owls can hear them. One more question before our next guest.
How fast can he fly?
How fast can he fly? Probably about 40, 50 miles an hour. They don't have to be real fast because they fly quiet and they can sneak up on their prey. And like I said, if I don't get to any questions, if they weren't answered tonight, you can always email us and we'll answer questions.